Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Hope you are all fine. I'm Mr. Khalid, and now we are going to discuss week 6, lesson 11 and 12. Our topic of discussion is settlement pattern of the population of Pakistan. Fine. In the previous chapter 5th, we reviewed the different ethnic, religious, tribal, and provincial groups. We also reviewed that how these religious groups and are stronger and how they served the nation in the times of British and now in the time of Western and the American influence in the region. Well, this chapter mainly concerns about the settlement patterns of the people, that how the people of the land, mean people in Punjab, KPK, Sindh, Balochistan, Kashmir, Gilgit, and other regions have got settled, in which area their population is more and in which areas their population is less, what are their resources, what are the main causes of increasing urbanization or the population in the cities, what kind of problems the nation is facing this moment. For example, in this context, we can review Karachi these days. Owing to the monsoon rain, find that it is now an utterly troublesome area where the people having all kind of problems and there are quite a less solutions. Well, settlement patterns also will give you information, extra information about the gradual development and plus the deprivations. We'll try to compare our discussion with the areas with the other areas of the land, mean with the South Asia. Fine. Well, these are our points. We'll be able to get information about population settlement patterns, know about historical settlement like invasion, irrigation development, border settlement, challenge of densely populated areas, political, religious, and the social impact by the population density, modern urbanization causes, opportunities, and the challenges. Okay, let's read. Geographically, the population of Pakistan is distributed rather unevenly. More than half of the population is in Punjab, and on the other hand, Balochistan, the largest province in terms of area, has significant areas with virtually no settled population. Likewise, within each province, the population further pools in various areas. Much of the population of Balochistan, for instance, is concentrated in the area of Quetta. The region around Karachi and the inhabited strips along the Indus River are the most densely settled areas in Sindh province. With Punjab, the population density generally decreases from northeast to the southwest. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the plain around Peshawar and Madan is the highly dense area. Broadly speaking, population density is greatest in the fertile agriculture. Nomadism and transhumanism, once common lifestyles in Pakistan, are practiced by relatively few people in the 21st century. Well, you have listened to this excerpt, this piece of writing that gives a very smart overview of the uh, population of the subcontinent. Look at this map. Well, this map is, you see, uh, shows off the population of Pakistan, but we have to divide our discussion in the prehistoric times. Dear people, the students, normally the population of Pakistan, as the prehistoric traces say, that the very old or ancient inhabitants of these lands were Darwidian people, the people you find like nomads, Khana Badosh Kabile, these black colored people that are often found begging in the streets, and they are dwelling in the open land and areas. For example, if you come to Rawalpindi, you visit these people. Now we have given them different name, like uh, in Punjab, the word slang is used like changards and other words. Fine. These are nomad people. They once were the highly mean the owner of these lands. Well, after years ago, for example, 2 to 3 thousand years ago, the Indus River Valley, here the people, Indus Valley civilization like Mohenjo-daro and other civilizations, they developed. Near Saival, there was Harappa. Fine, that was the earliest civilization. Near the foothills of Margala, adjacent to Islamabad, like in Texla, the Buddh civilization, Texla civilization, that emerged, and that was one of the center of this entire region at the time of Ashoka the Great. Fine, and these were the earlier settlements that are found in the history, and the people were mostly the natives. Clear? For example, the Texla civilization that emerged, flourished, and got fame, the most of the people means they came from Nepal and other regions. Fine, and they got settled here. Fine, in Islamabad. Fine. So here you find the Texla. Fine. Similarly, time went on, and Aryans from the Central Asia, they came and they started coming on these fertile lands, and they settled on these areas along with the Indus River. Fine. These Aryans were stronger, and they had more tactics of fighting, so they defeated the local people and captured their lands. It is the prehistoric one traces. Second thing is, the second phase you find that the people settled in Gilgit, Baltistan, Skardu, Chitral. They were centuries old relations with the Central Asia. People would come from these routes and entered through this, and then they forge into Indian territories. Clear? You must remember that India is very interesting and uneven topography. That with the foothills of Himalayas, this is another distinct region. That with the foothills, the traces and the traditions are almost the same. That's for example, Buddha born in Nepal, okay, and all the state of Buddhist states mostly were under the foothills of the mountainous region, and until they come to the minor Himalayas, like in say Texla. Fine. So this is a series you find that the people use. Similarly, people in the Central Asia and China, they used this route and they would forge into those areas. Fine. Well, another era was very important, that was Iranian era, when Iran was used to be superpower almost 2000 years ago or 1500 years ago almost, at the time of the Prophet. Clear, you found that the Iran was superpower, and Iran would control these areas almost complete of Punjab and Balochistan and Sindh, until in the depth of India, the emperor of Iran, or the Kisra, was the king. So the people from these areas would settle into these lands. Fine, and they established their own territories. Well, another phase of the settlement came when the Arab preachers, they came from seaside, fine, and they started preaching the people along the coast of Arabian Sea and along the coast of Indian Ocean, fine. So they made small settlements. So here the population once again came, and the people converted to Islam, and they started adopting the traditions of Islam. Well, after the this invasion, this development, in the times of Caliphate Khulafai Rashidin, but especially in Umayyad's dynasty, Muhammad bin Qasim came and conquered Makran, Punjab, Multan, and most of the area in India. And here the Islamic law was established, but the Islamic government couldn't survive more, and Hindus from this direction, they came, they were very strong, and they took hold in the times of Chandragupta Maurya, and they came, Chandragupta Maurya was quite long, fine. After this, they once again conquered. Another phase of the settlers that is traces in history, when Islamic invaders, or sorry, the Islamic score means rulers of the Central Asia, especially in Afghanistan, they faced challenge by the Hindu Rajas. For example, Raja Jaipal of Lahore and the affiliated areas had controlled Peshawar, and he was also controlling Kandahar and Kabul. Clear? Ghazni was just a small town annexed to Kandahar and Kabul, and was threatened by this Hindu Raja. Sultan Mahmud Ghazni used to rule there. They started fighting, and then there was a series of fighting that continued until the Gujarat region, that almost is here. Clear, the Somnath temple was crushed. Fine. And after Sultan of Ghazni, Qutbuddin Aibak was his former his former leader, and you can say general. He was given the throne of Lahore, and he established the first Islamic state that stood in front of the largest Hindu states. Okay, compressing the story in short, that all these invasions and migrations caused population settlements. Initially, they people came and they settled around the fertile lands of Sindh, Punjab, Jhelum, and others. Fine. The people who came with Sultan of Ghazni, for example, there are many castes. Awans came, Peers and Sheikhs, and these people, they came with when Sultan of Ghazni came, and he conquered these areas, and they people came. Sufia Ikram, most of them came in the times of Sultan of Ghazni, and they got settle in their areas. These people were given jagirs. They built up castles. They were given jagirs, and they established an aristocracy. So this is how a tribe was given a specific area. Let's, for example, Awan tribe, a very famous tribe that owns the area of Kalarkar and Khushab and affiliated regions, that was bestowed them by these emperors. So these emperors would give a land to a specific tribe, and that tribe would own and showed the say affiliation. Similarly, the people of the tribes, Pashtun tribes of Afghanistan and affiliated areas, they crossed the border, mean that was same at the time, and they started settling on these areas. Fine. So they were the distinct people, and they have their own recognition, and they have the cultures. Now even you find that the people of Peshawar are altogether different from the people of Karak, people of the related areas. Fine. So this is what that different tribes would settle over there. Within these tribes there were lots of fightings. One tribe would try to capture the land of the other tribes, and this is how. And same is the thing is here in Balochistan. Balochistan basically is a large area. Clear? It's a huge area. 47% of the total area of Pakistan is made up of the Balochistan, and almost the same area, the Balochistan of that constitute Iran, that's called Sistan. This is all Balochistan. Is a huge area, okay, and there are a number of people who live in the desert and the Raji mountain areas. So every area is controlled by the Bugtis and Lasharis and these areas. Fine. So they were owned by the tribes, and the population is something you find dispersed. In next video we'll discuss in detail. Thank you very much.